Malinsky, cross pass for Iafallo, right circle, shot stopped, good keep by Johnson. Adam Johnson walks the line. Johnson, a shot, knocked down, they score! Might have been tipped in front by Thomas. Could be Johnson's goal. If it is, it's his first as a Bulldog. It's 6-0. Iafallo back into the offensive zone for UMD on his backhand. Towards the net, they score! Looked like Adam Johnson might have tipped it in, and the Bulldogs on the board first. Iafallo will shoot in. Schultz picked it up for St. Cloud State. Left wing feed for Joey Bennick. Bennick over the line, shoots one well wide. It'll bounce out to neutral ice. Iafallo ahead of steam. 3-on-2 for UMD to the St. Cloud line. Iafallo trying to drive the net, cannot. Goes around the back of the goal instead. Turns it, fires one, save made, rebound is loose. Puck free, they score! Adam Johnson and the Bulldogs strike in the opening minute. Corin back to Farley center point. It's in his skates, and here comes Lewis shorthanded. Anthony Lewis has a breakaway. Corin trying to hook him. Lewis is stopped by Koskisuo. Lewis maintains possession, and now it's turned back to Melnick. 10 in the power play.
Could be the save of the game, Bruce.
If you make something happen, you'll remember that one. Johnson over the line, walking in, he scores! Adam Johnson as the power play expires. What a play, it's 4-3. UMD a chance, walking in, score! Adam Johnson, a power play goal to make it a 5-0 game. A steal at his blue line, gives to Osterberg. Defender fell down for the Irish. Here comes Adam Johnson behind that defender. Great move, and he scores! What a move, Adam Johnson! It's 2-1 UMD! Anderson, left wing. Got it to Johnson, trying to get it to the front for Osterberg. That one knocked back behind. Now Osterberg right of the cage. Out to the right point, Molinar. Molinar towards it, a tipped on goal by Anderson. Rebound is loose, they score! Johnson was there! Anderson took the initial shot, the rebound put in. The Bulldogs take the lead 4-3. Irish gained the Bulldog line, but Malmquist can't handle a pass. Anderson lead pass ahead to Johnson over the line. Johnson against Bretzman, score! Adam Johnson uses Bretzman as a screen and gets the Bulldogs on the board. It's handled a bit by Miska, but right there to recover is Pionk, and he clears it ahead. Coleman's going to beat the icing call with ease. Left side, centering pass, Johnson in front, can't draw it to the forehand, now backhand score!
He banked it off.
He banked it off the goaltender, Adam Johnson, it's 2-0 Bulldogs! Osterberg on the right, got it to Thomas. Thomas, a shot blocked by Vessel. And UNO's got possession, but Susie holds the right point. Across Johnson, top of the left circle, gets away from him, and it scores! Adam Johnson waited out the defender, power play goal, it's 2-1. Osterberg back in for UMD. Centering pass off of Johnson. Skady scores! Nifty play, Adam Johnson, and the Bulldogs on the board first. And Johnson spins around the back of his goal. Trying to get away from Brett Gardner and does. Gains the line. Johnson drives it in. Johnson, a chance, he scores! What a play! New York to LA for Adam Johnson. It's 2-1. Bulldogs get this one ahead. Tufty at the red line. He'll backhand it in deep as UMD makes a full 5-man change. Puck free, Adam Johnson scores! That one came funny off the wall. Adam Johnson, left circle, it bounced through Cam Johnson, and the Bulldogs on the board first. Adam Johnson will take the draw instead. And he wins the draw. Raskov center point, shot goes high. Johnson tries to bang it in, and he does! Adam Johnson off the back of the goaltender, and the Bulldogs on the board first. And tied up on the inboards. Dogs win the battle. Taladado to Iafallo. Up top, Johnson. Johnson scores! Adam Johnson, center point, power play goal. Dogs lead 2-1. Adam Johnson to center, gets around one man. Carries it over the line, gives to Mackay, back to Johnson, left corner. Whipped it around to the right for Osterberg, out to right point Molinar. This way on the left for Wolf, fakes, now shoots one down low. Johnson trying to bounce it off the goal, he scores! Adam Johnson off the back of the goaltender, Larkin. Bulldogs on the board first. Left point for Pionk. Spins away from Greenberg, walk back to the middle, one-timer Johnson, score! It was hit in front, possibly by Anderson, power play goal, we're tied! Carson Kuhlman, Raskov left point towards the net, that one knocked down, Osterberg chance, save, rebound, stop, they score! Adam Johnson makes it 6-4. Bulldogs control the faceoff, Johnson walks the line, shot, score! Adam Johnson may have been tipped by Anderson, power play goal, it's 2-0. Johnson, right point Iafallo, left point Pionk. Back this way looking for Johnson. Somebody got a stick in the way. I believe it was Gardner. Johnson right circle. Johnson scores! Adam Johnson! Power play goal for the right circle. It's It's 3-1. Hard around by Summerby. Iafallo kept it in. Right wing side, Anderson towards the net, sticked in behind Ottinger. Iafallo, left point, Pionk. On the right, one-timer Johnson blocked. Right back to him. Johnson into the circle. Johnson, a shot, he scores! Adam Johnson! The Bulldogs are going to the Frozen Four on a power play goal by Adam Johnson!
All right, it's Tuesday evening. That means it's another episode of Goal Horns and Fight Songs. And to open the show, we got the permission to use UMD play-by-play Bruce Siski's tribute to Adam Johnson, the player who is playing in the English League, who suffered an unfortunate incident that resulted in the loss of his life this weekend. And it seemed to be the most fitting way for us to open the show. I mentioned to Bruce when I asked for permission to use this clip that when I've felt a loss in my personal life, I don't let the negative control the narrative. And what I mean by that is I don't focus necessarily on the loss. I look to the memories that I share with that person that are the happiest. That helps me to process the information that I felt a loss. It helps me to manage those feelings and to feel them as they should be felt and understood. So when he released that, I knew that was the best way to open tonight's show, to relive those moments where he scored goals for UMD. Personally, I didn't know Adam. Really, the only time that I would have interacted with him in any way, shape, or form, or we would have been in the same building, is when he was playing against Western Michigan for UMD. So, but knowing that he was competitive and played well, and he was a hockey player, I think the entire hockey world is feeling his loss, and it's creating a conversation that, while this was extremely rare, there's a possibility it could have been prevented. And I think that was a conversation that's long overdue. But I'm going to give it to Mike, who did have some personal relationship with Adam, and we'll get his opening statements, and then we'll try to do our best to get through the rest of the show. Oh,
Yeah.
one more note, sorry. And just kind of some housekeeping. The link to that audio can be found in the description below, as it'll take you to Bruce's podcast website, and you can hear all of his previous episodes, all of his future episodes there. And if you want to, you can listen to that audio again. So now over to you, Mike.
All right. Yeah, it definitely, and I'm going to try my best to get through this. I will preface this with, I didn't know Adam as well as some other friends of mine, but I grew up on the Iron Range, about 30 minutes from Hibbing, and in high school there was summer tennis, and our rivals did not allow us to play for their summer tennis league, so we went over to Hibbing, and I got to know Adam a decent amount playing against him and with him during our summer tennis league, and always followed his career and cheered for him, and I think the weirdest part is this can happen, and I mean, it's a game with knives on your feet. I mean, that's the way that it is. But you never think it's going to happen to somebody that you know, and having that personal connection and just the person that Adam was, and it's been chronicled now already in The Athletic, both by Michael Russo and for who covers the Wild for The Athletic, and then I don't remember his name, but the Penguins writer for The Athletic. They interviewed teammates, and I mean Sidney Crosby was in there. Anybody who came in contact with him understood how great of a person that he was, and Bruce even said it as well in I believe in his tweets, that he would just take the time and he cared for everyone and he was quiet. He was a genuine person, and everyone knew he was a phenomenal hockey player and that he was going to make it. There was just something special about him that he was going to get to play in the NHL. Yeah, he only got a little taste of it, but he still has a goal in the NHL. It was at the XL Energy Center against the Wild with friends and family in the stands. He couldn't ask for a better goal to be scored. And also, a note, our thoughts are with Zach Stejskal, the UMD goalie, because he was a cousin of Adam. The Stejskal family, they were related. So, with all that those families have been through, first with Zach and dealing with his testicular cancer and coming back, and now losing Adam, I just feel for that family as a whole, because they seemed very close knit. Just seem like great people. I don't know them very well, but I know them enough, and the amount of tragedy that they've had to go through these past couple years, is that would take a toll on a lot of people. So I hope they take care of themselves.
Yeah, no, definitely. Thoughts and prayers to his friends, family, teammates, fans, and to also to those who were in attendance and witnessed what had happened. Um, they're going to view life and hockey in a completely different way going forward, and shouldn't be left out in the thoughts and prayers of the hockey community. Um,
Yeah, it was definitely it was a it was a roller coaster on Saturday night, Sunday morning. My mom had noticed the article, and then Saturday night it was, at the time, falsely reported that he didn't make it, and then woke up Sunday morning. Well, I basically didn't sleep all night, but looked Sunday morning and saw that Adam didn't make it, and it just hits differently when you actually know you actually have had some interaction with the person, and um tell you what, he was one hell of a hockey player. And I didn't quite remember this, but my parents remember this. We were at a hockey camp in Cloquet. I don't even. I might have been like squirt age, like so whatever that is. But Adam was skating up, and anytime we had to skate to the line, he was always first, and we were like, "Who is this little shit that's beating everybody, us older kids, to the line?" It was Adam, and in the articles, if nobody's been able to read them or whatever, his goal was to be a bulldog, and then he wanted to play in the pros. He was able to do that, um, and then kind of going back to what you started the show off with, Wes, for what the Ontario Reign, they named him the first star of the game, and they put his jersey on a stool, and his sorry,
Oh, you're good.
his teammates came out and tapped it, but then for the Penguins game, they had everybody cheer for him.
Yeah, that was cool. I like that one.
And uh, and that's how it should be.
Yeah, and you know, I don't. It's not meant to. When I say let the negative control the narrative, I don't mean that in a disparaging way. Like I said, I think that emotion should be held or felt, processed, not pushed aside or pushed down. And I think that's kind of what we saw with what Pittsburgh did with the cheering for, instead of some of the other things that we've seen, or even with Bruce's tribute here in all of his goal calls. Um, and I think those things are just as helpful in the healing process as it is to um, the others. And like I said, when in my opening remarks, I don't want to. I want to focus on the positives of someone's life, and not the manner in which they left my life. Um, to me, that's always been how I've handled loss, and I feel as though it's served me well, and it doesn't belittle the the loss in any way, shape, or form. Um, so I hope I'm not coming off in a negative manner, and everyone hopes, or I hope that everyone realizes that I am um, feeling the loss in the hockey world, and a part of the community that is feeling the loss as well.
Yeah, I don't think you're coming off negatively at all. Um, and I think that's how he would have wanted it. Um, some, you know, I see people saying things about the hit and whatever happened. You know what? Screw you. That there was somebody I was going, some jack. I'm not even going to say jackwagon, some jackass on Michael Russo's article, like his link to the article in the Athletic, that was calling for criminal and whatever. And it's like, you know what? Fuck you. Fuck you and everything that you stand for right now, because the whole point of this thing was to honor Adam and the the human being that he was. Yes, he was a great hockey player. He was a stud tennis player. He whooped my ass every time I played him. But above the athletics, he was a great person, and the whole point of that article was to honor him. And you're trying to do whatever. Go take that bullshit somewhere else. Like, if you have an opinion on that, go talk to a fucking lawyer. Go talk to whoever you need to, but don't degrade this article about some kid who lost his life playing the game that he loved and degrading the people that loved him just for the person that he was, whether he was, we love Trevor. Trevor is great. It doesn't matter if he was in the NHL or if he was playing in beer league hockey. We would love him. Just the person in general. So, anyway, that one pissed me off the other night, and I just needed to get that out there.
Yeah, that conversation's getting kind of loud, and I think that's one of those conversations that's the negative controlling the narrative, and it's looking for blame, in something that I don't know that blame needs to be placed. I'm sure that player does not feel great. I'm sure he's dealing with things on a different level than any of us are dealing with them.
And I did see, and I completely agree with this. It was like Saturday night or something when I was scrolling through. I don't know the player's name. I saw it, but he's not a player that I know.
I'm not going to mention it. His name's out there enough. If you're interested in figuring it out, you can go do that. I'm not going to play we're not going to comment on that narrative any more than we already have. We're not going to throw anybody's information out there. That's not the time or place for it. Like
it was just more so the way that he's feeling because of what happened. I hope that he gets the help that he needs, because that would be devastating to anybody.
Yeah.
And that's where I was going with that. Like, I just don't remember his name. But I really hope that he's okay as well. That he can find peace in whatever way that he finds it. Because I think that's what everyone should want.
Yeah. Yeah, let's
anyway,
we'll move on to the next topic.
Back to happier things.
Well, I don't know if it's necessary. I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily happier.
Well,
the conference did not play so hot this weekend. All things considered, there were some whoopings laid on the NCHC this week. Your Minnesota Duluth Bulldogs struggled a little bit, scoring 1 goal on the weekend, giving up 7 as they were swept by Cornell.
In Cornell's first 2 games of the year. Yeah, I did watch Friday's game. I turned on Saturday's game for a little bit, and yikes. That's about all I need to say. It was not good, and we took on Friday. We took 4 penalties in the first period alone.
That is not 4. How you want to play a game, my friend.
No. So there's not much to say about that. That's the only game that I watched out of this weekend. Partly because I was traveling, partly not feeling well, but that game and that series, there are some things that need to be figured out. And Scott Sandlin did say, and I'm quoting, he doesn't give a shit about what happened Saturday in the game with what happened to Adam. But moving forward and just the weekend as a whole, this team's got some work to do. I was I was skeptically optimistic with how they started the season because there was some goal scoring that was going on. Michigan Tech, Northern Michigan, the Midgies, some decent teams, and then you just lay an egg. That was not a good series for a team that we swept last year at home.
Yeah, no, I would say no.
I'm glad you agree.
No, it was bad for them. Um, in a weird way, kind of a bright spot to the conference was Arizona State. They're not quite a member of the conference yet. They will be a member next year. But they put in a strong showing in their first run of NCHC opponents that they will play this season. They went to overtime both nights with Miami. Miami picking up the win in game 1 in overtime and falling short in a shootout on Saturday. This Miami team, they do not look awful, or as awful as we may have thought they were going to. They're definitely scoring goals a little more than I think we thought. They're doing a decent job of creating offensive pressure from the bits and pieces that I've seen. Penalty trouble seems to be something they need to work on. But all in all, they seem to be a little bit better of a team than we expected. At least I expected. And I don't know if that's a mix of Bergeron getting his players finally into the system, with the extra COVID year that all the seniors have been playing and using. Younger guys are taking longer to get into the program and acclimated with the program. It's taken a little bit longer for, I think, some of these newer coaches to instill or get the players that they necessarily want, even with the transfer portal. So maybe they're starting to turn things around. Maybe it just took a little bit longer because of those types of situations. I guess we'll see more of that once we get into conference play and how Miami really stacks up with the other teams in the conference. But a strong showing from Arizona State, which is, I think we kind of expect them to be on par with at least Miami, Colorado College, Omaha to some extent. Some of those teams that have hung out in the bottom 4 of the conference for most of the first decade of the NCHC. You could throw Western in there from time to time. They've been down there a few times. And they seem to be holding well. I mean, I think they got out to a pretty early lead. I think that Friday night game, Miami had to come back and rally to get that win, if I remember correctly from what I watched of it. Yeah, Miami used a 3-goal third period to tie the game and go to overtime. So definitely playing end to end, all 60 minutes, trying to compete and play a full game. And honestly, there's some positives there. Again, they ended up splitting the weekend as far as we're concerned, but as far as the pairwise goes, they got most of a win on Friday and they tied on Saturday, so not a complete busted weekend. If there's anything you would like to add,
I think in previous years, I think we would probably say, well, Arizona State isn't that good because they played Miami this close, but Miami is actually playing above our expectations right now. the from where we had them in um, what probably most people thought their record would be, even right now, uh, they're playing better with well, even with the loss of Ludwig Person and Red Savage. So I take this as a positive for both teams. Arizona State coming in the conference next year, that's a positive that they're there, and they've kind of been a middle of the pack type team, fringe NCAA tournament type team. And then Miami, they're just proving themselves better than we thought they were going to be. I think we both. You did have them winning Friday, um, and losing Saturday. I had them losing both, but uh, you know, they're providing a little bit more faith than I think most people had for that team.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, we'll know more once we get into conference play and we see what the team's like and just how the conference feels as a whole. Um, but I like the start to Miami. I know that we had them at like 8 or 2-8 to start the season. They're definitely going to blow past that. Um, and they got a tough task ahead of them next week to start conference play. I think they start conference play with St. Cloud, a team that surprisingly was it last year or the year before that I think they took a win from. They put up a decent showing and stole a win there.
I believe they did.
I think they beat St. Cloud, you guys, and
Yeah, don't remind me.
Omaha maybe, or Colorado College. I think they got one of their wins against one of those two teams. But yeah, no, they got St. Cloud next week, in St. Cloud. So we'll see what kind of how they handle conference play, and it'll be a better test, I think. Another team, North Dakota, they put a whooping on Minnesota State at least on Friday. The conference decided that OT was what they wanted to put in this weekend because Saturday they went to OT and lose in a shootout to Minnesota State. Minnesota State, another surprising team with what they've been able to do against some NCHC teams. They lose but force a shoot or a tie on Saturday this week. I think they played they played somebody else. St. Cloud. They swept St. Cloud. Two of at least one of the teams we thought was going to be stronger in the NCHC, and then what we thought was going to be a struggling North Dakota team. Playing both teams pretty close and pretty tight. They've got something working with their new coach and their new lineup in Mankato that has been producing some results.
Sorry, I'm looking. My math was not adding up here for our predictions total,
Oh,
and now I figured out why. Um,
because you can't read.
no, it was the whole UNO
Oh,
bit that
Ohio
screwed
State.
me up.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, North Dakota, Mankato, they've they've definitely found something there that um went in the shootout, and then I mean they lost 6-2, but that's a lot tougher team than I think anybody thought they were going to be. And I do have one guy that I know who is a Mavericks fan, and he's like, "Do you believe in us now?" And it's like, well, actually, yeah, kind of, I do.
Nah.
I mean, not to be a favorite to win the national championship or anything, but more so than um, being the rollover that I thought they were going to be um, for most of the part of the year. And yes, I was half paying attention to what you were saying. Moving on. I think you muted him, Mike.
Sure did. OSU Omaha, they went to a 2-2 tie on Friday and a 4-0 Ohio State win on Saturday. Ohio State won the shootout on Friday, which Omaha is trying to hide and won't tell results of, but Ohio State will let you know that they won the shootout. Again, in the pairwise, it goes down as a legit tie. No benefit for winning the exhibition shootout there, but Ohio State does get the full win on Saturday, shutting out Omaha. Both games were kind of back and forth. I don't know how I really feel about Ohio State. I know last year they were a tournament team. They're expecting to compete in the Big Ten for whatever that's worth. Omaha, we go back and forth on them. They're consistently inconsistent, and we never know what we're going to get from them on a game-to-game basis. So this feels about kind of what you could expect, I guess.
Yeah, I think we say it every year. And like you said, they're consistently inconsistent. They are probably the most Minnesota non-Minnesota sports team ever. Because they're just good enough to give you hope, but they'll turn on a dime and snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. They just, there's no putting your thumb on this team and what their identity is, other than, I mean, pretty much being inconsistent. That's the only thing that you can gain from that.
But hey, they got a bull on their sweater.
They're I if I was a Mavericks fan, the UNO Mavericks, not Mankato Mavericks, I would be so frustrated because I don't know what you do. There's last year, what, they finished third. They have the talent, there is that ability, and then they don't show up for the first round of the NCHC tournament. Now they have a lot of those guys back, and no, they just don't show up in general. You never know what you're going to get, and I don't even know if I'd want to go to a game, because I mean, I would go to Twins games, within the last, I've lived in the Twin Cities 8 years. I'd go there and I knew they were bad, but I would go to games because, yeah, I know we're probably going to lose, but it's a nice night at the ballpark and I can go watch these other guys play that are really good. I also go to Vikings games, like I was just at Lambeau Field, thinking, yeah, we're probably going to win. We have a very good team. I have confidence that we're going to win. I don't think I would want to go to a UNO game because I don't know what team is going to show up.
Hang on, did you just say you have a good team in the Minnesota Vikings? Because you do not. Your Vikings are bad, and they just got worse.
No, we did get worse, but
The loss of your
beat
quarterback.
the 49ers. and hey, we're playing Creed. Creed is the key until your quarterback has his Achilles roll up into his kneecap. Then, well, yeah. But I'm just saying, like, overall, like, even last year, Vikings were a lucky but good team. Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson. Like, we have good weapons. Our defense was atrocious. But they're enough to give you hope, where I would take giving us hope versus, what are you doing? Want to go to the hockey game? I don't know. Think they're going to win? I don't know. It depends on what team. Like, I would rather spend my money elsewhere versus having even that false confidence that my team is going to win. Either I know they're bad and I'm going to go watch the other team, or I have confidence, even if it's false, that they're going to win. I don't want that in between. I don't want that 50-50.
Yeah, no, makes sense. Makes sense. I can get on board with that.
If we're going to go, I kind of want to go a little different on these last two because they were a split series.
Yep.
So I want to start off with Air Force.
Who took a drumming all weekend long.
Yes. They lost 6-2 to Colorado College. And then they lost 4-0 to Denver.
That they did.
Not necessarily surprising because they played somebody, I think, last week or 2 weeks ago that they are a tough opponent, but they just don't have the talent. And we have talked about this. You don't go to Air Force, you don't go to Army to play sports. You do it to serve your country. They are going to try and outwork you, but at a certain point, talent outweighs work. And so both Denver and Colorado College pick up wins. The reason I did it this way is the shocker of the weekend was brand new Division I program, Augustana, out of Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
What a weekend they had.
Holy shit. You talk about a program building weekend. This should pull in recruits immediately. They start out at Denver, and they get a shootout win in a 5-5, according to the NCAA, tie. One of the powerhouses of all of college hockey.
Currently, historically, any way you want to slice it.
Mm-hmm. And you go in and even if they would have lost the shootout, they took them to overtime and then took them to the shootout.
Dude, they're on a 4-game undefeated streak.
Augustana is?
Yeah.
Who did they play previously?
They were swept by Wisconsin. They swept Bowling Green, and the tie and the win against Colorado College, or the tie against Denver and the win against Colorado College.
Yeah, and that was the other thing. Then they go in and on Saturday they beat what was it? 4-3. They beat Colorado College.
Yeah, and I mean they had control of that game. they were up 4-2 going into the third period. And really, I mean, they played an incredible game against Colorado College. They played two incredible games. I just didn't happen to see as much of the Denver game as I did the Colorado College game. But I mean, they were just controlling the game. Again, it's one of those situations where I would love to see the extended analytics and see the time on attack and possession numbers. Um, they were only 1 for 5 on the power play Saturday against Colorado. They only took 3 penalties. I mean, they're playing, and all of those were in the third period. But they're playing pretty disciplined hockey against some of these teams, and this is one of those teams that I think shows what the transfer portal can do in the positive when you're trying to build a team and you're trying to get established guys in, and you want to be competitive. This is kind of what we saw in the NHL with the Vegas Golden Knights their first year. You're getting established guys who understand the system and the game. You're getting talented players right off the rip. You're building a program that will hopefully entice others to want to be there and to be competitive and to play. And you're putting historic teams on notice that, hey, just because there's new kids on the block doesn't mean that you're going to get easy wins or that you're not going to have to compete. And potentially, that NCAA tournament at the end of the year gets a little more competitive from top to bottom. Not that it isn't now, but I think like we're seeing the advantage that conferences provide, and maybe the conferences get tougher, and it's harder for the NCHC or Hockey East or the Big Ten to really run away with that year after year when these programs are building up and they're competitive right out of the gate.
Yeah, and I think the more shocking part is I, well, St. Thomas is in what, their
Third
third
year?
year? Yeah, I think third year. And yeah, Augustana got swept by Wisconsin. Fair enough. They're trying to figure it out. But St. Thomas had a horrible first year. Now you have Augustana come in. They get swept. And then they sweep Bowling Green, who has been a Division I program for a long time. And then they go up against Denver, one of the most storied programs in all of college hockey. And then Colorado College, who they had a good run. They were on the downslope and what we think are on the rise again. And they beat them. They took lessons from St. Thomas and they applied them, and then immediately was like, this is what we need to do to be competitive early. And now I'm kind of like, oh boy. Augustana, who we'll see what they do the rest of the year. I'm not ready to say, oh, they're so great and whatever, but this is kind of a and maybe it's a wake up call to the historical schools where it's like the blue bloods, as they like to call them in football and basketball, that, hey, yeah, they might be an upstart, but you can't overlook them. And that may have been the case for Colorado College and Denver. And Augustana said, you know what? You can overlook us all you want, but we have the talent. And I do like the fact that it gives another option for Midwest kids to go to. Now, yes, you have Western, Omaha, UMD, Mankato, St. Cloud, Bemidji, North Dakota. Like you got 7, St. Thomas now 8 schools. Now it's a 9th school. but there's such a flood of talent here that can go places. And then, oh, sorry, 10th, forgot about the Gophers. My bad. Um, but it makes that recruiting portal even more competitive. And that'll be interesting to see that now you're adding those two between St. Thomas and Augustana, two more because Sioux Falls is only about 3.5 hours from the Twin Cities. It adds that extra school and that extra competitiveness in the recruiting and keeping these kids in state.
Yeah, no, I mean, we're seeing, and it provides some other programs, I think, that we're, looking at. Could we be the next Division 1 team? I think it gives them a little bit of hope too, to be like, okay, well, we could be competitive to begin with. We could build something here. The barrier of entry doesn't seem as large as it once was in some regards, but also like it'll be interesting to see how these teams continue to build their program. I don't think we'll see as big of numbers in the transfer portal here in the next couple of years, just because so many players are going to age out at once.
Mm-hmm.
There is currently like a rather ridiculous abundance of college hockey players because of the 2020 season, and this year's seniors are the last guys who get that fifth year. So next year's the last year of the benefit of the COVID year, and without like medical reasoning or red shirt or um, some other unforeseen circumstance, we're not going to see as many fifth year guys, grad students, um, things of that nature to overwhelm the transfer portal. And it may be a smaller number. There may be a smaller pool, but it may also give guys from the USHL, the NAHL, a chance to come up and play. Maybe either on time, or if they have the talent to, a little earlier than they have in the last 5 years or so, 4 or 5 years. So it'll be interesting to see how those teams, the Augustanas, the St. Thomases, the Lindenwoods,
Was it Stony Hill or something like that out east?
Stony Hill, yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
How these teams continue to build their programs and how competitive they remain, and if we add any more teams in the future, or if we kind of see them kind of stall out a little bit, like Arizona State seemed to do. They seem to mediocre out. Alaska Fairbanks seems to be, regressing a little bit from what we saw last year.
Mm-hmm.
So it will be interesting to see how these teams continue, and what it means for programs or even conferences like the NCHC, like the Big Ten, the CCHA. Will we see something similar to what's happening in college football, where we're trying to make these super conferences, or do they want to try and stay small and regional and really just battle it out come tournament time? So there's a lot to the future of college hockey and hockey in general that we're just beginning to see the horizon of, and it could really go anywhere.
Yeah, and just a quick note on the conferences. I feel like college hockey is going to stay more regionalized because it is such a niche sport where you have college football, college basketball, and you're building these super conferences. Can I see them doing it for money? Absolutely. But I also feel like the hockey community, it's so ingrained in their roots. Yes, we have had the conferences break up, like the WCHA, the old CCHA. They broke up for, they WCHA and CCHA went to the Big Ten. Kind of makes sense, but I think there's so many hardcore hockey fans that if they started to try and make these super conferences, there would be close to riots. The outrage would be pretty big.
I don't know if that's true or not though. I mean, every other week you're seeing on Instagram or on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, these big time football programs show off what would their team look like as a hockey program. We had West Virginia release some unis that interesting. Oregon has shown
We had
some
friends that loved them. They were terrible.
Oregon has shown some, honestly, some actually pretty dope looking sweaters that kind of similar or at least reminiscent of the version 1 Mighty Ducks unis, the old D5 uniforms, at least color wise, because of the Oregon Duck colors. Alabama's put out some college hockey gear. Tennessee, I think, has thrown out some. Um, we had an entire Southern team Stanley Cup finals last year. Now, all these things build and build and build upon each other and make hockey bigger, open to more people, on more TVs. There could be a situation where we see a SEC of hockey, legitimately like the SEC teams with hockey programs. If Oregon becomes D1, their football team's now Big Ten. Does their hockey team go Big Ten? UCLA, I think, released jerseys not too long ago. Do they attempt to join the Big Ten like their football team did? When you have a sport that plays in a conference, that opens a door for a lot of things. Um, the MAC doesn't have a hockey conference. That's why you see teams from MAC schools in what was the CCHA, now the NCHC or the WCHA. Could there be a MAC conference of hockey at some point? I think there was talks about it at one point. Does it make sense? It's hard to bring teams that are competitive in a conference out of a conference, I think. But maybe that's something that Miami wants to look into. Maybe they don't, because they're struggling competitively in the NCHC and have for the last few years. There's just so much that's so wide open as hockey progresses and becomes more popular or potentially wanes in the near future. Anywhere it could go, and we're just along for the ride to see what happens.
I just think like you look at the historical rivalries, right? Like the Big Ten with USC, UCLA, and now Oregon and Washington coming in. They still have the like we need to keep these rivalries alive. And I think almost more so than football, these hockey programs, because they have been so isolated, we will welcome new teams like the NCHC is welcoming Arizona State. I'm completely good with that. I'm happy that the game is growing, but I feel like if you get a UCLA, a USC, an Oregon, a Washington, um, all those schools out west, they might have to form their own conference. And then maybe Air Force will actually be able to join a conference that's not 3/4 of the way across the country. Um, the SEC, Tennessee, Alabama, uh, Georgia, whoever, West Virginia, like they can form their own conference down there, and we just add more conferences, and then we expand the tournament a little bit more. But I, it is possible. It's just hard for me to fathom. Uh, uh I'll say this: it's hard for me to fathom, even though it already has been done. A conference where Denver, North Dakota, UMD, St. Cloud, are broken up. Colorado College too, where they're broken up because they have such deep roots playing each other. Um, the Gophers left for money, but they're that one kind of made sense. They were already Big Ten. Big Ten was forming a conference. Wow, good riddance to you. But it's just, to me, it feels like there's a little more historical and being such a niche sport, um, that it's closer knit, and it's like, form your own conference. We're good here. But
I mean,
anyway,
we've mentioned it before, but and I think maybe we just dive into this in the off season when we can just dedicate an entire show to it. But I don't think rivalries are what they were anymore, and I don't know that it necessarily, when you're looking at potentially big money from network contracts, I think colleges are more concerned with that than they are protecting rivalries or protecting the history of games in some aspects. Like, I just don't know that it's there anymore. And we see it in other sports, and it's just as easy that it could happen with something like hockey, which is a smaller niche sport and is often overlooked and is such an expensive sport for all of these programs, that if there's anything they can do to make it more feasible, affordable, potentially cheaper in some aspects by switching to more regionalized conferencing, or making big conferences that networks want to put on their TVs, they might go those routes. But again, I think maybe we dive into that in the off season, even though the season's new, and we would really just crack that egg and scramble it up and see what shakes out.
yeah, but I mean, just talking about the rivalries, I know it's going to go off, kind of off schedule of what we normally do in a sense, but um, looking at this, the schedule of games ahead, there are two big rivalries, but for me personally, um, normally we just go down by time, but I'm going to get this out of the way. UMD at Minnesota. A home and home between the Bulldogs and the Gophers, or the Bulldogs and the Bulldog Rejects. And I think we should start going right down this
We
road.
can start there if you want. I'll let you know, I don't have high hopes for your Bulldogs. I will say, if any series is going to get them up, this might be the one to do it in some aspect. But I mean, Minnesota's coming in. They they fell in the rankings quite a bit. They're now down to 6th.
Yeah.
Minnesota fell. They're now 14th. Or Duluth fell. They're now 14th. Um, so I don't. It's still a big matchup as far as potential pairwise down the road.
Oh, wait. Hang on. Sorry. We're going to pause. We should go through last week real quickly, and then we can continue this if you don't forget your thought. So I had UMD sweeping last week against Cornell. Yeah, they did not sweep. I went 0-2. Wes, you also had them sweeping. We're both 0-2. I had Miami losing Friday and losing Saturday. I was 1-for-3 on that. You had them winning Friday, losing Saturday. You ended up getting both of those correct. So you were 2-2. I had North Dakota losing Friday, winning Saturday. Yeah, both wrong. You had them losing Friday, winning Saturday. You also lost both of those.
Yeah,
And
sounds about right.
Don't count on me for any of these. Oh yeah, because we were the same. So at that point, I was 1-5 on the week. You were 2-4. You had Omaha losing Friday, winning Saturday. I had Omaha winning Friday, losing Saturday. I was 2-6. You were 3-5. Denver sweeping. You ended up 4-6. I was 3-7 after that, and we also had Colorado College sweeping. For the week, I was 4-8. You were 5-7. So total right now, I am 23-22, and you were 25-20.
Woo! About 500. That's all I'm asking for. At least, as we go on, there'll be less and less games to pick because eventually we're only going to get to where we're picking 8 games a week.
Yeah, exactly. Only 4 teams to write down.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a big series, and Minnesota's got to get up for it. They're coming off of a poor showing out east. They're also coming off of an emotional loss. Maybe you get some tribute game luck. I really wish the Friday game were in Duluth as opposed to the Saturday game. Just to kind of allow that community to heal together first. And potentially like come together for that game. I'm sure Minnesota will do a moment of silence to start that series, and they'll do it in Duluth when they get there. Since Adam did play for Duluth. At best, I'm hoping that it's a split and the home teams win. But I really just don't know that I feel that confident in Minnesota Duluth. I feel confident that Minnesota's going to win Friday. I think that's kind of going to wake the team up and shake them a little bit. And maybe get them back to realize that there's hockey games to play, and maybe the best way to honor Adam is to just play good hockey and hope for the best from that. And I think there's going to be a lot of emotion in the building Saturday, and I'm hoping that they can channel it and use that energy in a positive manner and not be overwhelmed by it, and steal a win on Saturday. So I'm gonna lock it in with Minnesota Friday, Minnesota Duluth Saturday. But it's more of a heart pick than a brain pick, I think.
I think for me, I have the same, but it's more of the Gophers. They're gonna come out angry because of their series against Wisconsin this past weekend. They are not going to be happy with how they performed. Wisconsin is a team that they should have swept, and they did not. They're going to be upset. They're going to want to perform in front of their home crowd on Friday. So I think they're going to come out flying. It's a little tougher for UMD, especially even though other than Stay Skull, none of the players knew Adam. Yeah, they're going to be upset about being swept by Cornell, but I think there's going to be kind of a heavy weight on them in general. But then Saturday, when they're up in Duluth, the fans are going to have all day to get lubricated. They're going to be able to have their ceremonies and celebrations of Adam's life, um, before the game. They still will do something, but between the fans and the guys, especially probably after getting their asses kicked on Friday, um, they're going to come out hot. They're going to come out firing. They're going to want to win for Adam in Duluth, and I think they're going to win on Saturday. So it's kind of a combination of the head and the heart, where yeah, Gophers are going to want to win in front of their home fans especially after losing to Wisconsin, and being a complete embarrassment in front of their hometown crowd. They're going to want to come out firing, and then UMD at home. The fans are going to be into it. They're going to have had the whole day. I just think we went on Saturday because of that. So I think it's a split.
I think the phrase of the weekend will be play with emotion. Play with emotion, don't play emotional.
Yeah.
For Duluth.
Yep.
So keep that in mind as we watch those games, and we'll check in next week with the results on that one. A big matchup, a top 10 USHO matchup, as the North Dakota heads out east to Boston, Massachusetts to take on the Boston University Terriers. The Dakota goes in as the number 3 team in the country. BU's number 9 right now. Person is performed amicably against some of these bigger opponents. He's got a win over Minnesota when they were the top ranked team. A big win over Minnesota State. Struggled a little bit in game 2. He seems to be finding himself with this team around him. North Dakota's playing a really good combined effort defensively. I think they're a little bit ahead of where we had them in the pre-rankings or the preseason rankings. It's a big test. Boston's a hard place to play. Boston University is a tough team year in and year out. I don't know much about them this year other than, that kind of stuff. Oh, man. It's a good test for Person to be in all of these games. I don't know. If he's going to be able to hold up under all of that pressure, or if at some point it's going to start getting to him. And he generally plays pretty decent in non-conference, and overall, if you get one on him, it kind of opens him up a little bit.
I think for me, this is the toughest one of the weekend. Partly because, I don't know a lot about BU, but they were a tournament team last year.
I think they were a Frozen Four team last year.
They are a good team, and
I think they lost to Minnesota in the Final Four.
I think they did.
Or no, did they make it?
No, because well, yeah.
Quinnipiac beat Michigan.
Yeah, and then
Minnesota beat Boston University.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, even so, not knowing what BU lost, they were a very good team last year. And there are kids that returned from last year's team. Uh,
I know one player they lost for sure. They lost Ethan Phillips, who's killing it with the Broncos this year.
well, that's
That's
beside the point.
that's their loss, our win. So let's suck on that.
Um, but I think the well, I'll give my prediction right now. And I'll just say it's more based off of what's happened recently. I do have North Dakota winning both games and sweeping. They seem to have found something that is it's just working. The trouble that I have with making this prediction is I feel like the magic is going to run out at some point, and I just don't know if it's this weekend or not. I'm really hoping it's not, just for my prediction's sake. But I do think that their magic will run out. I just don't think it's this weekend. I, they just have some sort of chemistry on that team that I can't explain.
See, I don't think they split or they sweep. I think they split. I just don't know which way they go because against Minnesota, they split. They lost Friday big, won Saturday close. Last week they won Friday big, lost Saturday in the shootout. You know, they seem to take care of one game, but they can't play a complete weekend per se. I just don't know if they're gonna go back and try and make up for Saturday and play well Friday, or if it's gonna go the other way. I think it's gonna be a split. I just have to figure out which game I think North Dakota is gonna. You know what? I'm gonna go. North Dakota is gonna win Friday because for whatever reason the travel day seems to be a better day for some of these teams. Maybe it's or the first day of the maybe they just have fresher legs because they get off the plane, they do a morning skate, they practice in the morning. Maybe the time change doesn't really hit them until the second day. So I'm gonna go North Dakota Friday, BU Saturday.
Right. Got her locked in.
Lock it in. Then we get into some NCHC conference play. So we'll have to work on there's some decision making to be made this weekend because there's 3 conference series. Western goes down to Nebraska to take on University of Nebraska Omaha in Omaha, Nebraska. How many times can I say the name of the school and the city in 1 or 2 sentences? As many times as I just did. That's how many times.
Why are you the way you are?
Because that's how God made me. Or brain damage. Either one. Take your pick. Um,
I go with yes.
God, these 2 teams play each other so hard every year. It's usually a split.
Would you like me to go first?
No. I think Omaha's coming off of a tough weekend against Ohio State. Western Michigan had the off weekend. Western's still a high-powered offense. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, the first game last week was last year it was a 13 goal game. Western got up quick. A strong second period by Nebraska Omaha rallied them to win that game. I think in overtime after Western kind of rallied back. There's a back and forth game. I don't remember if Western ended up winning game 2 or not, but you know these 2 teams always play each other tough. Omaha's a pretty tough place to play. As inconsistent as they are, the one thing that is consistent is their fan base. Their fan base shows up and shows out every week. They do their stupid fish tradition on the first goal of the game. It looks like it would be a fun atmosphere to see a game at. They did a great job with the pod years ago now. Um, just a great city for college hockey. It seems like. I think it's going to be a split again between these two teams, and really it'll just come down to, can the defense minimize the second chance opportunities for Omaha? I think Cameron Rowe can make the initial save more often than not. Um, he's got to stay away from the chintzy goals, the cheap goals, the weird bounce goals. If he can survive those, Western has a better shot just because of what their offense can do and has done year in and year out. Um, their defense played a little bit better last weekend or 2 weeks ago against Bowling Green. So I expect that to continue. Again, I'll go the traveling team on Friday, so that'd be Western Friday, and Omaha Saturday.
All right. Well, I have it the exact opposite of you. Um, I had it as a split, just knowing the history between these two teams and how tough it is to win in Omaha for whatever reason. The fans, the arena, everything about it's just a tough place for teams to win on the road. Um, and my reasoning behind it is uh, I have Omaha winning on on Friday just because it is their home arena. I understand your logic as far as the way the season has gone, but I just think they're going to come out, they're going to be fine. And then Saturday, Western's going to make the adjustments that they need to make, and they're going to understand what they need to do to beat this team, and they're going to come out Saturday and actually get that win that they wanted on Friday. So, I have it Omaha on Friday, Western on Saturday. So, exact opposite of you.
All right. Miami at St. Cloud State. This one's so weird because these teams are like the exact opposite of what we thought they were going to be. Um, St. Cloud State had the off weekend last week. They are struggling out of the gate here. Miami's playing tough games, close. They're competing in every series they've played so far. Again, like we mentioned earlier, St. Cloud suffered a defeat to Miami last year. Now they'll be without a person, but Logan Eaton is playing some great hockey right now. If anything, for playing in Miami will make you a better goaltender because you have to be a better goaltender to play there.
You're not wrong.
They are getting just peppered with shots. But I'm gonna say St. Cloud gets. They don't get right per se. I don't think they're gonna go on like a hot streak and go on a tear. I think they're gonna win Friday though. And Miami's actually going to be the team that makes the adjustments, and they're going to win Saturday and split with St. Cloud once again and pick up a win early in the NCHC calendar.
And again, I'm going to go opposite of you. I just think yes, Miami is playing well, and St. Cloud is not. I was just trying to think of how to phrase that. I think Miami is playing better than St. Cloud is out of the gate, which kind of obvious if you watch them. But I think Miami jumps on St. Cloud on Friday. They get the win. That might be the wake up call that St. Cloud needs, especially with when they have as an experienced roster as they do. Um, they know they should pound Miami into the dirt. Like that's their mentality going in. I think Miami catches them by surprise on Friday. And then those guys wake up. They lay into the younger guys. Like they become leaders at this point. And Saturday they come out and win. So I think it's Miami winning Friday, St. Cloud winning Saturday.
Fine. Either way. The final series of the weekend is a home and home. Game 1 at Magnus Arena, making Denver the home team hosting Colorado College. Saturday at Colorado Springs, making Colorado College the home team hosting Denver. Denver has not suffered a regular season defeat to Colorado College in 4 years.
I thought you were going to say 49, but
I think Magnus was undefeated against Colorado College in a regular season. But
I believe so.
Colorado College did win perhaps the biggest game of the series last season in the semifinals of the Frozen Face-Off in Minnesota, St. Paul, Minnesota.
You are correct. Good
Good, I was
job.
questioning the hell out of that.
Proud of you.
After the last game of the season between the two, when Hunter McCown scored that ridiculous penalty shot goal, to actually be like the first goal that Colorado College had scored on Magnus in like 2 years or something stupid. Colorado College has struggled against Denver, but this is a different Colorado College team. Not the same Colorado College team as last year. They do lose Hunter McCown. They lose Brandon Yoon, just due to turning pro and aging or graduating out. They do have potentially maybe one of the biggest X factors in the NCHC, that being Caden Mberko. But I don't know, there seems to be some sophomore struggles in him that we were questioning whether or not he was going to have. They have the blueprint to beat Denver. They know how they have to play. They have to play the same way they played in that semifinals game last year. I would think, all these teams say that they're not necessarily worried about what the other guys are doing. They're worried about what they have to do. If you're Colorado College, I think you study that tape of what you did last year. You look at that and say, this is how we played well. This is what we did well. We played our game the way we wanted to play it defensively, and it led to offensive opportunities. I think this is going to be another one of those situations where it's the home team advantage. Denver wins Friday, but Colorado College snaps that regular season losing streak that they've suffered through. They snapped 2 big losing streaks last year. The one to Denver winning their semifinal game, going 1-5 on the 1-4 on the season, but that being the biggest one of the 5. And they also took 2 games from Western Michigan last year in the two biggest games of their series last year after falling 4 games in the regular season. I think Colorado College is on a bit of a rise, and they're not going to be the same easy beat for Denver that we've seen in years past. And I think they're really going to compete for that gold pan trophy that they play for out there. But I'll give it to the home teams in this series. Denver Friday, Colorado College Saturday.
And that's how I had it too. The home teams. The interesting, I mean, even if you would have looked at it for this past weekend, uh, just how the trajectories of the teams were going, I probably would have said the same thing.
They seem a lot more even this year than they have in years past. I mean, they both struggled against Augustana, and they both smacked the Air Force.
Well, yeah, and that's exactly where I was going with this was, even not counting this weekend, they seemed on kind of a similar trajectory where the home team I would probably have given the home team a win in each sense, but struggling against Augustana for both of them makes them even more even, which sounds like a stupid sentence, but it seems to level the playing field even more than I already thought it was. Both teams are going to come out up off a win. Yeah, you know, Colorado College. Well, I guess off a win. Colorado College beat Air Force Friday. Denver beat Air Force on Saturday, but they both played the same two teams. They got wins against the same team, and they both lost against the same team. I think this is going to be a grudge match. But yeah, I have Denver winning at home on Friday and Colorado College winning at home on Saturday. I just think it's, even if it doesn't matter that much, I think it's that home ice advantage just slightly helps both teams with the fans in the stands.
No, I agree. All right, so those are all the picks. We'll run through it one more time real quick. I've got Minnesota winning Friday, Minnesota Duluth winning at home Saturday, North Dakota winning Friday, BU winning Saturday, Western Michigan winning Friday, Nebraska Omaha winning Saturday, St. Cloud State winning Friday, Miami winning Saturday, Denver winning Friday, and Colorado College winning Saturday. I do not have any sweeps on the board.
And my only sweep, so I have Gophers beating the Bulldogs Friday, Bulldogs winning Saturday, North Dakota sweeping. I have Western Michigan losing Friday, winning Saturday, Miami winning Friday, losing Saturday, and then Denver winning Friday and Colorado College winning Saturday.
All right. And then the players of the week, it was 2 Pioneers, 2 Fighting Hawks, not Falcons, Fighting Hawks.
No, that's Air Force.
Yep.
Or Bowling Green.
Yes.
The Falcons?
Yes.
Yeah.
Forward, Massimo Rizzo. Defenseman, Garrett Pike. Rookie, Boston Buckberger. Goaltender, Ludwig Persson. Players of the month for October. Player, Massimo Rizzo. Rookie, Boston Buckberger. And goaltender, Ludwig Persson. So, run through those real quick. We're wrapping up the show. Do those normal YouTube things. There's a like button. There's a subscribe button. There's an unlike button if you feel that you want to push that one instead. There's a comment section. Go wild and crazy in there if you so choose, or don't. I don't care. There's a YouTube Twitter handle for the page. It's at the bottom of the screen. It's been there the whole show. There's a email that's going by right now. Our personal Twitter handles have been at the bottom of our pictures all episode. Yeah, I'm flying through this because we've been going for an hour and a half, and it's getting late. But we will end the show the way that we started the show, with Bruce Hiskey's tribute to Adam Johnson, that being the majority of his goal calls from the 2 seasons that Adam played at the University of Minnesota Duluth. A fitting tribute,
including the national championship season.
The fitting tribute to a player whose life on and off the ice have touched a ton of people, and whose unfortunate accident may yet to be another influence on the game of hockey, as the league he already played in is already making adjustments in the future. That being, they will mandate neck guards starting in 2024 so that players have the opportunity to purchase and get used to them by that time. And we may see other leagues follow.
Going off of that real quick, the Penguins have mandated it for their AHL and ECHL affiliates as well.
So an unfortunate event that may turn out to have a lasting effect and keep Adam Johnson's name in the world of hockey for a much longer period. I hope they call it the Adam rule or the Adam mandate or something to that effect to make sure that he remains a part of hockey. So, yep, that is how the show will end as it started. Thank you if you choose to do any of those things and you've listened to this thing. We appreciate it. Until the next episode, we are out of here. That's not the right one. Where'd it go? Oh my goodness. This is a fail. Maybe a little bit of levity before the show gets sad again. I think I found it. Here we go.
Malinsky, cross pass for Iafallo, right circle, shot stopped. Good keep by Johnson. Adam Johnson walks the line. Johnson, a shot, knocked down, they score! Might have been tipped in front by Thomas. Could be Johnson's goal. If it is, it's his first as a Bulldog. It's 6-0. Iafallo back into the offensive zone for UMD on his backhand. Towards the net, they score! Looked like Adam Johnson might have tipped it in, and the Bulldogs on the board first. Iafallo will shoot in. Schultz picked it up for St. Cloud State. Left wing feed for Joey Bennick. Bennick over the line, shoots one well wide. It'll bounce out to neutral ice. Iafallo ahead of steam. 3-on-2 for UMD to the St. Cloud line. Iafallo trying to drive the net, cannot. Goes around the back of the goal instead. Turns it, fires one, save made. Rebound is loose. Puck free, they score! Adam Johnson and the Bulldogs strike in the opening minutes. Corin back to Farley center point. It's in his skates, and here comes Lewis shorthanded. Anthony Lewis has a breakaway. Corin trying to hook him. Lewis is stopped by Koskisuo. Lewis maintains possession, and now it's turned back to Melnick. 10 in the power play.
Could be the save of the game, Bruce.
If you make something happen, you'll remember that one. Johnson over the line, walking in, he scores! Adam Johnson as the power play expires. What a play, it's 4-3. UMD a chance, walking in, score! Adam Johnson, a power play goal to make it a 5-0 game. A steal at his blue line, gives to Osterberg. Defender fell down to the Irish. Here comes Adam Johnson behind that defender. Great move, and he scores! What a move, Adam Johnson! It's 2-1 UMD. Anderson, left wing. Got it to Johnson, trying to get it to the front for Osterberg. That one knocked back behind. Now Osterberg right of the cage. Out to the right point, Molinar. Molinar towards it, a tipped on goal by Anderson. Rebound is loose, they score! Johnson was there. Anderson took the initial shot, the rebound put in. The Bulldogs take the lead 4-3. Switch gained the Bulldog line, but Malmquist can't handle the pass. Anderson, lead pass ahead to Johnson over the line. Johnson against Bretzman, score! Adam Johnson uses Bretzman as a screen and gets the Bulldogs on the board. It's handled a bit by Miska, but right there to recover is Pionk, and he clears it ahead. Coleman's going to beat the icing call with ease. Left side, centering pass. Johnson in front, can't draw it to the forehand. Now backhand score!
He banked it off.
He banked it off the goaltender. Adam Johnson. It's 2-0 Bulldogs. Osterberg on the right, got it to Thomas. Thomas, a shot blocked by Vessel. And UNO's got possession, but Susi holds the right point. Across Johnson, top of the left circle, gets away from him, and it scores! Adam Johnson waited out the defender. Power play goal, it's 2-1. Osterberg back in for UMD. Centering pass off of Johnson. Skady scores! Nifty play, Adam Johnson, and the Bulldogs on the board first. And Johnson spins around the back of his goal. Trying to get away from Brett Gardner and does. Gains the line. Johnson drives it in. Johnson, a chance, he scores! What a play! New York to LA for Adam Johnson. It's 2-1. Bulldogs get this one ahead. Tufty at the red line. He'll backhand it in deep as UMD makes a full 5-man change. Puck free. Adam Johnson scores! That one came funny off the wall. Adam Johnson, left circle. It bounced through Cam Johnson, and the Bulldogs on the board first. Adam Johnson will take the draw instead. And he wins the draw. Raskov, center point, shot goes high. Johnson tries to bang it in, and he does! Adam Johnson off the back of the goaltender, and the Bulldogs on the board first. And tied up on the inboards. Dogs win the battle. Taladado to Iafallo. Up top, Johnson. Johnson scores! Adam Johnson, center point, power play goal. Dogs lead 2-1. Adam Johnson to center, gets around one man. Carries it over the line, gives to Mackay, back to Johnson, left corner. Whipped it around to the right for Osterberg, out to right point Molinar. This way on the left for Wolf, fakes, now shoots one down low. Johnson trying to bounce it off the goal, he scores! Adam Johnson off the back of the goaltender, Larkin. Bulldogs on the board first. Left point for Pionk. Spins away from Greenberg, walk back to the middle, one-timer Johnson, score! It was hit in front, possibly by Anderson, power play goal, we're tied. Carson Kuhlman. Raskov left point towards the net. That one knocked down. Osterberg chance save. Rebound stop. They score! Adam Johnson makes it 6-4. Bulldogs control the faceoff. Johnson walks the line. Shot score! Adam Johnson may have been tipped by Anderson. Power play goal. It's 2-0. Johnson, right point Iafallo, left point Pionk. Back this way looking for Johnson. Somebody got a stick in the way. I believe it was Gardner. Johnson right circle. Johnson scores! Adam Johnson! Power play goal for the right circle. It's 3-1. Hard around by Summerby. Iafallo kept it in. Right wing side Anderson towards the net. Sticked in behind Ottinger. Iafallo. Left point Pionk. On the right, one-timer Johnson blocked. Right back to him. Johnson into the circle. Johnson, a shot, he scores! Adam Johnson! The ball